Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Sound Check. Welcome to the Steamboat Sound Check Podcast, presented by McCreight Progressive Dentistry. We are just days away now from WinterWonderGrass, and we are continuing our efforts to highlight some of the incredible musicians that are coming through Steamboat Springs this weekend. Right now, I've got Joe Funk, the bassist from the Kitchen Dwellers, joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, we're excited to have you guys come to Steamboat. Now, if I look back, it's been about 15 years that you have gone from being kind of college students at Montana State, just jamming in a kitchen, to now literally seeing the Kitchen Dwellers on marquees and festival posters around the world. I think it would be an obvious answer if I were to ask you if you ever thought that those jam sessions would turn into this, but do you ever have a chance to kind of sit back and reflect, and what do you see when you do on the journey you've had thus far?
I can't say I ever thought that they would turn into this, but I wouldn't say that that wasn't ever the goal. We always we loved this scene and this music and always wanted to be in the place that we're at now. And so I think that's always been the goal that we maybe didn't think was attainable, but we feel very fortunate for the path we've taken. And yeah, this was definitely the goal from the beginning, I would say.
And now in that time, you've released 4 studio albums, most recently last year's Seven Devils, which is an album that kind of draws on Dante's Inferno, going as far as to kind of associating individual songs with the seven deadly sins. I read, though, that that wasn't really the intent when you came to bring these songs into the studio and working on them. It kind of came about naturally. You just saw the connection there. Was there a specific realization that all of these songs were tied together in this way, and what inspired you to really dive deeper into that theme?
Yeah, I mean the song Seven Devils, I think just that name is kind of what kicked off the thought process. I can't remember if it was Torn or Max who initially made the connection, but those two guys were kind of going back and forth for a while, oh, this song's like this one and this one's like that one. And some of them, some of the songs are really on point with those completely unintentionally at first, but then we were able to sort of wrap the whole thing up in that idea, which was really really cool in its own way. But it's kind of weird to make a concept album without initially trying to make a concept album.
Without having the concept first. It's, and
Yeah.
like you said, some of those songs you really you get it right from the start. The others you have to kind of dive deeper into the lyrics. I'm curious
Mhm.
if there were some original versions of these songs that really had to change dramatically to fit the theme once you decided to go that way, or songs that you left behind completely because they weren't going to fall into place with what you were ultimately doing.
Not at all. No, I think by the time we realized it, the songs were recorded, at least 95% completion. So no, this all fell into place in post.
It, more of a serendipitous type of realization after the fact.
Yeah. And a
Now,
fun creative project on the back end of it, really, just to kind of tie everything together. But yeah.
yeah, of course. Now, one of the songs that you brought to the project was Pendulum, which kind of contains the elements of the fifth deadly sin, gluttony, and it's inspired
Mhm.
by your interest in some addiction replacement therapy. Can you go a little deeper into what inspired that song and how you approached addressing kind of a heavy topic through music that way?
Yeah, I think I've seen that throughout my entire life. I grew up in the opiate epidemic of the 2000s, and so I saw addiction at a very close level. Had a lot of friends completely change their life due to it. Many pass away, whatnot. So that kind of heavily affected me, and I think that's kind of just a part that experience kind of shapes my daily life. And so I've always wanted to write about that, and even the last song I wrote, Stand at Ease, had some of those elements in it. But uh, it's sometimes hard to put things to paper because I'm not like necessarily talking about myself, even if like it could be writing from a first person perspective, but you never know how people are going to judge you. So there's kind of like this like back and forth in my own head of like how do I want to approach these topics and make a song that people can relate to and use to help themselves or whatever, and while also being its own piece of art. Um, so I kind of went through several lyrical changes throughout the creation of that song, just to make it more, I guess, general, not so specific on certain topics, so that it could be a more approachable piece of art that people could latch onto and take their own journey through, basically.
And of course, part of the songwriting process is taking elements from personal experience or from the world around you and putting it into a creative art form. You guys have done that really well. And when you look back at your previous album, Wise River, that really kind of focused on escapism at a time that we were in a pandemic. Now you're kind of going in more of a inward, exploring universal human struggles, introspective album. Has playing this album live felt any different compared to past records? Because it is a little bit more introspective in that way.
Yeah, I mean, the songs themselves definitely breathe a little more. Like we can manipulate the songs live a lot more easily. They're less rigid. I don't know if that's necessarily from looking introspectively, but I think it was more due to the recording process that we took. As far as the songs themselves, uh, they are definitely looking more inward, but I don't know. I think our music just has kind of evolved between, and our songwriting has evolved between the albums to let us play them differently live versus in the studio and whatnot.
I'm sure we're going to be able to experience that here in Colorado this weekend at WinterWonderGrass. I've been able to talk to many bands who are coming here this weekend, whether they're coming from California or Montana or elsewhere. It seems like for most of them, some of their strongest fan base is right here in Colorado. In fact, you guys have said that Colorado is almost like a second home to you. I've asked other bands kind of a similar version of the same question, but as we gear up for Winter Wondergrass, I'm kind of curious, what is it for you about the Colorado music community that has made it feel so welcoming and kind of like a home to you?
Well, it was the first place we ever went outside of Montana. Our mandolin player Sean grew up in Telluride, so we started going down to the Telluride Bluegrass Fest like in our first or second year of playing. And we would just go down and play like in bars on like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before the festival, like when people were kind of showing up. And that kind of got our foot in the door to just like the communities of Colorado, the bluegrass scene, like a jamgrass scene, not necessarily like a traditional bluegrass sense, but and then a couple of the guys like would go on Cheese tour throughout the years, and a lot of those people were from Colorado. So we kind of like built these communities that were mostly based in Colorado, and it was the closest place for us to come. I mean, I think it's like 10 hours, 9 to 10 hours from Bozeman to get to Denver. And so that we would oftentimes leave Thursday at 1 a.m. or something and drive down to Colorado throughout the night and like have a weekend of shows there. That was like our easiest place to get to and go play shows when we were a young band. And so I think we really just like kind of put our foot in the door that way from an early age.
You guys travel the same way that I would in an old Chevy Express style 15 passenger van. I've done plenty of traveling in 15 passenger vans myself and feel more at home sometimes in those types of
Mhm.
settings. Now, of course, creating community and connection is really what Winter Wondergrass is about as well, helping people feel like they're at home, celebrating music here in Steamboat Springs. You've been part of many of these festivals. What do you appreciate most about Winter Wondergrass?
I'll say it right out. It's my favorite festival. It's run so well. I mean, and I think it's a top-down thing. Scotty's just the best. He's so great to work with, and all of his staff is awesome. I look forward to seeing all the musicians, all the fans, and all the staff. Like everybody who's running that festival is awesome, and pretty much everyone's a familiar, friendly face. And I think just the way he has the festival set up with the three side stages where you can go warm up and listen to the bands in between, like that's what really like did it for us because people would come in see us because they don't want to stand out in the cold between the main stage sets. It's such a great great setup of a festival, and then to get to ski during the day and whatnot. It's so great. I look forward to it every year.
And you're a great example because I think a lot of people come to these festivals knowing what to expect on the main stage, but sometimes the best music or best experience is that side stage. And you guys came from the side stage to the main stage. And
Yeah,
you get to get out and really kind of go appreciate the side stage acts while you're there now and kind of really see not just where you came from, but talk to some of these bands about the journey along the way as well.
totally. Yeah, I look forward to that every year, and especially the bands that I don't have never even heard of their name or whatnot. It's those are the usually the most fun ones to check out.
Now, you're also scheduled to be playing Baja Wondergrass in April, which brings the same feel of the snowy festival to the sands of Mexico. You grew up in
Hmm.
Alaska. The band's obviously rooted in Montana. I have to ask, do you feel more at home in the mountains or are you more a beach type person?
I go through that debate in my head almost every day. I feel at home in both of them. I actually just moved to Michigan, so I'm living the beach life now on the Great Lakes, but still in the woods. So a little bit different, but I love it down there. I used to go down to Cabo Pulmo, which is just south of where the Baja Grass Festival is, in high school with my parents, and it's beautiful down there. It's like rugged and awesome. I can't wait to go down there.
Well, we can't wait to see the Kitchen Dwellers this weekend at Winter Wondergrass. I want to thank you for taking a few minutes with me. And as you're making your way here, are you traveling in the van to get down here this weekend?
No, well, sadly, our van is no more. We
Oh,
killed it this summer. It died. I was flying into Sun Valley, Idaho. Everybody had driven in the van from Bozeman, and they got to the airport, like pulling through like the parking gate thing, like the
yeah.
lift gate or whatever, and it died right there at like 1 in the morning. Nobody was at the airport. And so we like pushed it out and left it there, and unfortunately, yeah, like something in the engine had seized, so the motor was bad. And Chip from Pine Creek, I don't know if you're familiar with Pine Creek, the venue up here. He went and got it from Idaho and brought it back. So now our van that we were in for 10 years or whatever is sitting at Pine Creek, our one of our favorite venues. So
All good things must come to an end at some point, I suppose.
yeah,
No matter how you're getting here, I wish you safe travels and look forward to seeing you this weekend.
thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see you there.